This segment of ScentBlocker Most Wanted is brought to you by the Whitetail Institute of North America. Deer nutrition is all we do. And by S4 Gear, meeting the demands of nature and those who tame it.
Back stateside, Bob's hunt for a Mississippi wall hanger has hit a rough patch. 2 days spent with the DeGeneres boys has made him full, but left him hungry for a buck.
We eat well at the cabin.
The Sams Jr. and Sr. say the rut is on here in late January, and the bucks should be on the move. But Bob knows that the rut doesn't always bring the deer out of hiding. Let's hear what our panel thinks on this week's Rack Focus.
If you ever pick up a magazine or watch anybody show it, any hunters are talking about when is the rut, when is the peak of the rut, and I want to go hunt the peak of the rut. And I know me and Scott feel the same about this, that the peak of the rut might not really be the very best time to be hunting bucks.
Pre-rut can be excellent. Post-rut can be really good on food plots. You know, the rut to me is important, but I'm not going to not hunt before it, and I'm not going to not hunt after it.
Most of the time, for most people, there's a pre-rut that starts in October, runs into November, and then there's the actual rut. And most of the people want to hunt right where pre-rut is coming into rut. Right as it starts, a couple does start to stand and start to be bred. Now your big bucks are on their feet. For a week or two of the whole year, that these big mature bucks come out of heavy cover and are on their feet during daylight hours. And that's when you want to be hunting. A week later, they're still on their feet in daylight hours, but they're off sequestered with the doe in a thicket for a couple days. And then all you have is when they're looking for the next doe in between.
Now you got what's called the lockdown, which we never talked about that 20 years ago, which it's a fact now that when the big influx of does are in heat all at one time, the way Mother Nature designs this thing, everybody gets bred at once, and then you flood the woods with fawns born on the same day within a few day period that the predators can't get them all. That each and every buck in the woods out there has got a doe standing with him, with the way our, buck to doe ratios are skewed today. And when them does are in heat and they're tired of being run, they go lay down somewhere and don't move too much. And it's like a lot of people say, man, it should be right. It's the rut, and we ain't seen nothing for days and stuff. And that's what happens. That we know today that didn't know before.
Lockdown is what we call the period that we used to say, where'd all them darn bucks go?
Yeah.
Now we're smart and we just say, oh, it's lockdown.
I guess we experience it maybe different than you would in Iowa and like we do in Minnesota where there's a lot of timber. The lockdown period where they're with the hot does and everything, that's some of the best time, because once you see them bed in the morning, they'll run that doe out into a little thicket or whatever, they bed down. That's a perfect stock opportunity. And whitetails are very stockable.
We have good success pre and post, and I the lockdown period I hate. I mean, like, you love it and open, but yeah, up here in the timber, when those big ones lock up and disappear, it's just, you're just hoping that you can catch them in between. And what we found is we love hunting where those big drainages kind of roll up in towards the crop ground, and those first couple of trails that they start cutting across from one ravine or one ridge to the next ridge. Love hunting those as travel corridors, because those bucks they're hitting those ridges, checking a bedding area, and then cutting up to the next one.
At that time of year, you got to hunt somewhere where it puts the percentages in your favor that something up on its feet is going to come within range of you. Either someplace that it's going to connect them from one place to the other where they're moving, or going to a food source, food plot type deal where they're going to look for the female showing up there.
We want to know your opinion. You can be part of the discussion at facebook.com/ScentBlocker Most Wanted. Back in South Africa, Scott and our buddy Rick are on the stalk for one of Africa's big five, Black Death, the Widowmaker.
Big bull can win by. Boom.
Whoo! Way to go, buddy.
ScentBlocker Most Wanted has been brought to you by IQ. Center the dot for the perfect shot. Block Black, it's one tough target. And by Glendale, the biggest and toughest 3D targets in the universe. ScentBlocker Most Wanted has been brought to you by Winchester Rifles and Shotguns. Trust your hunt to a Winchester. Easton, expect the best. Ford, and your quality Ford dealers. The Redemption muzzleloader from LHR Sporting Arms. Made for a lifetime, not for a season. And by Gilbreth's Taxidermy, the official taxidermist of ScentBlocker Most Wanted.
None of our hunts would be possible without a lot of help and coordination from all of our outfitters, landowners, and guides that we work with throughout the year. In South Africa, the Cape buffalo that Rick Hanas shot is mortally wounded. But true to its reputation, this old Dugga boy isn't going down. This is the most dangerous part of the hunt, tracking down a wounded Cape buffalo. The day wears on, and the crew takes every precaution. Until, finally, the old bull falls.
Shot it early this morning with my Mathews. Have been chasing it all day long, trying to get up close to it to where we could get the final kill shot. I tell you what, they're some kind of animal, just the resiliency and the toughness of them.
Bob's late season Mississippi hunt is drawing to a close. And with only one evening sit before he has to leave, Sam puts him in a stand that they reserve just for friends and family.
You know, the last week of January, it's 75 degrees. Full moon. Man, you want to talk about snake bit, it is the kiss of death. But we crawled in this blind this morning, a little fog, warm, and we had a buck come out right down at the very end, about 210 yards, and that deer stood there. But he turned, he'd seen no does, and that's what happens when the rut, they're out trolling these food plots. But we've got trail cam pics. I've got pics that we looked at before we even came here of this 8-pointer. He's a 4.5-year-old deer, but that buck comes back, or any deer close to it, if he's 4 or 5 years old. We're gonna make a redemption show with him.
The day slowly slipped away, and still no activity.
There he is right there on the left-hand side. He's standing right there on the left. And man, we don't have much light left. That's the same buck. There he is right there on the left. Just standing out of the woods, probably 170, 180 yards. Looking right at us. Man. You on him? Wait. Let me lock it down. Yeah. All the smoke, I can't say anything. Thank you, God. I think I just smoked my first Mississippi buck. Right there. Same buck we seen this morning. Look at that shot where it was. I can't believe he went that far. That's the side that I shot him on.
Oh, thank you, Lord.
Woo! Thank you, man.
Look behind you. Look at that moon coming up.
Look at that. You know, I always say the kiss of death for the moon, but this poor deer's got to be thinking it was the kiss of the old redemption that poked him. Got a little more mass soon than I thought.
That's a heck of a deer for here.
You know, this guy came out this morning and stood at the end of the field, and I'm pretty certain this is the same buck. Now, you're going to probably be able to tell me, but, you know, when he came out, we was losing light really quick.
And, you know, he just stood there and he looked first in the field and there wasn't any does. And that was the exact same thing he did this morning. And my concern was, with no does, how long was he going to stay? And he turned around and he kept looking at us and staring at us, and I know he couldn't see it, but I felt like he was staring through me. And I said, Josh, are you on him? And about the time he said yes, we let her rip. And I laid my hat down over there. I actually got knocked down, and we had a blood trail that turned a little bit, so I left it laying. I got to go back and get it, and my muzzleloader's back in the field. But
we got stuff scattered everywhere.
It's pretty deer. That's the only thing, and I love to shoot a muzzleloader. And I've been shooting them for years, but until the smoke clears, you don't have a clue what happened.
That's a heck of a deer for here. He's definitely a 4.5-year-old. I passed on him last year as a 3.5. I saw him twice, and we've had plenty of pictures of him.
For me to come down here and hunt 2.5 days, and this is, I think, for this part of the country, is a respectable buck. And the thing is, it's a mature buck, and that's what we was looking for.
That's what we shoot. 4.5-year-old deer in the South is that is a mature deer by our standards, and I don't think anyone would have passed that deer up.
Hey, one more time,
congratulations.
I got to thank you.
You know,
I want to tell little Sam, I'm sorry he wasn't here, and Dad had to leave today, and his dad had to head back, and he's got a lot going on. He's a retired general. You've got to fly tomorrow. He's an Air Force pilot, and I got to go over to Alabama and see if I can put an Alabama buck on the ground in the next couple days.
But you're leaving on a good note, and I'm glad he's going to be riding in the back of the truck with you on the way home.